Hola chavos, bienvenidos a un nuevo episodio. Welcome to a new episode of How to Learn Spanish. My name is Levi Flint. In this episode, we are going to begin talking about Duolingo. So Duolingo is this super popular iPhone and Android app. It's also accessible as a software through any browser, Chrome, Firefox, whatever you like to use. So if you've never heard of Duolingo before, have you been living under a rock? No, I'm just kidding. In all honesty, if you've never tried to learn Spanish before, maybe you haven't heard of Duolingo, but it is extremely popular and it is completely free. They have a paid version that's completely optional, and basically you just don't see any of the ads that they have up on the website, but the ads are very minimal either way. Anyway, so again, it's very, very well done, and it's been around for about a decade now. So they've had a lot of time. The company is really well run, apparently, and they take a lot of pride in their Spanish training materials. So it's really, like I said, it's really well built out at this point. So what I'm going to do is, if you're watching the video, I'll be sharing my screen here. And if you're just listening, you can listen along, and I'll make sure to try to guide you guys through today's episode. So basically, the next step in your Spanish learning journey, at this point, if you've listened to previous episodes, that's amazing. If you have not listened to previous episodes, make sure to go back and do that before starting on this episode. So go back, listen, follow the steps, and then where we are at right now, essentially, we already have a Spanish learning system going. We're doing a lot of listening. We're doing it on a daily, consistent basis. We've started Pimsleur, so we're speaking. We're doing a lot of pronunciation practice, a lot of mimicking, a lot of listening, a lot of mimicking, and so everything is done through more of an audio type of methodology at this point. So now we're going to shift our focus to something more visual, and Duolingo is highly visual. So if you're watching the video, as you'll see here, this is Duolingo, if you've never seen it before. If you do know what it is, you don't have to really watch. You know what Duolingo is all about. But essentially, Duolingo has many languages, Spanish being one of the languages that is the most built out. So here in the Spanish course, you see here that we start with intro, and it goes, intro is skill number 1. And the course is broken down into various skills, and when I say various skills, I really mean there are a lot of skills that they have built out over the years. It's impressive how much Spanish you can learn from their course. So you can scroll all the way down, and you see it goes through almost everything that you can think of related to Spanish. So if you go through this entire course, beginning from intro all the way down, and you're doing it on a daily, consistent, regular basis, you really will build out a massive vocabulary. Your grammar will be very solid, and that's what I recommend you begin to do. So what I recommend you do is you just start out, if you're a complete beginner, start out here at intro, and simply start out. What I recommend is to click on tips. Tips will take you to a little breakdown of the lesson. And it's amazing. So it's just like having your own personal teacher. It's going to give you a breakdown of what you're going to learn in this lesson. All right, gives you a few things that you can practice yourself. And then after the tips section, you simply start the lesson, or you can go back and then click start, and off you go. And Duolingo, again, it's very visual. There is some translation that goes on with it, and it is doing a lot of like fill in the blanks, choose the best answer, repeat after me type of thing. So it is maybe a little bit more traditional in how it teaches Spanish. It may be a little bit more in line with how your teacher teaches you Spanish, or how you have learned Spanish in a classroom in the past, or how you might imagine a typical Spanish class to be, right? And that's okay. Again, I think there's a time and a place for that, for getting explanations of how this particular grammatical structure works, what this word means, okay? And I think there's a time and a place for that. And I think in my methodology here at How to Learn Spanish, if you've listened to previous episodes, you know I'm all about starting out just listening, and kind of just diving into the language, being a little confused, but really listening to what the language really sounds like. Then we go to Pimsleur, and we're really working the pronunciation, the mimicking. Much like when we're a little kid, we're just mimicking after mom and dad. We're trying things out. We're making mistakes. We sound silly. We sound stupid. We make a mistake. Who cares? Try it again. Now here with Duolingo, we're taking the next step, and we're using our adult advantage to learn a lot of Spanish. And our adult advantage is that we have the ability to read. We have the ability to teach ourselves things. Okay, to teach ourselves things, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So, if you're watching the video, you're going to see this is the browser, but you can also have this on your smartphone. So basically, everything in this system you can do on your smartphone. Keep that in mind. That's the idea. So you can do it day in, day out, anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at. So that's essentially what we want to do now. And I recommend doing Duolingo for 1 Pomodoro a day. And if you don't have that much time because you're already doing this other stuff, try half a Pomodoro, okay? Try to go 12 minutes. 12 minutes and 30 seconds, okay? Half a Pomodoro doing Duolingo lessons. Trying to get through a new skill maybe every day. Try to go in here and do a lesson or 2 or maybe 3 of a new skill every single day. It's going to make a big difference. So for those of you guys who are not completely new to Spanish, make sure you do realize with Duolingo that you can scroll down and there's these little golden castles and you can test out of those. It's like a little checkpoint. So you can kind of look here, okay, intro, phrases, present tense. Yeah, if you have some experience, you can be like, yeah, I already know a lot of this. All right, cool. Keep going. All right, go down here. Okay, yeah, I know all this too. Maybe you go to the third castle and you're like, I don't know a lot of this stuff. Stem changing verbs, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. Cool. So just test out of that second castle. Click it, test out of it, boom. As soon as you test out of it, all of this will be done. And then you can just simply begin here right after and just progress that way. And there's plenty of things to cover. So I think regardless of your level of Spanish, wherever you're coming in, Duolingo is definitely worth integrating, bringing into your Spanish learning arsenal. It makes a massive difference, in my opinion. But it's definitely not the only thing you should do. I've met people who know that I speak Spanish, and they may or may not know that I teach Spanish, and they ask me, Levi, like, how do I learn Spanish? This is where I get the idea of making this podcast. How do I learn Spanish? And they ask me, it's always Duolingo. I'm doing some Duolingo. I tried out some Rosetta Stone. It's the same damn thing every time. And I've taken some Spanish in high school. And I'm like, okay. Duolingo, and I begin to explain, Duolingo is a tool. In my opinion, it is not a system. It is not a method. It is not the answer to becoming fluent in Spanish. If you want to be able to have a conversation, to be able to understand real Spanish, to interact with native speakers, to go to Mexico, to go to Colombia or wherever, Spain, and actually be confident and communicative, Duolingo is not going to do that for you on its own. However, as a tool, 100%, I think it is a tool, and that's the whole point of putting it right here. I don't want it to be the main thing we do. I don't want it to be the first thing that we do, because I don't want us to just learn to translate and to do these activities. I want us to really try to understand real Spanish and really try to speak real Spanish. And this is a supplement. And it's a great supplement because it's beginning to teach us, and it's allowing us to integrate our adult advantage to rapidly learn new concepts, new vocabulary, new grammatical structures, because we can read and we can see explanations of things and process it and be like, oh, okay, I get that, So anyways, hopefully I wasn't all over the place with this episode. That's pretty much all I want to say. Duolingo, once you start playing around with it, is very straightforward. And it's fun. It's like a gamified way of learning a language. I really recommend it, but don't fall in love with Duolingo. A lot of people do this. I've done this in the past, not with Spanish because I was already far along in Spanish, but definitely with Portuguese, with Brazilian Portuguese. When I started out, I spent so many hours on Duolingo. It's kind of sad actually, looking back. But and with French a little bit too. But but what I did learn from it is how it works, and I learned, and now that I see it years later, the improvements they've made. Like when you go into a skill, you see tips for every single thing now, so you can like get many lessons. Like you want to learn about, let's see, da, 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 da. Present tense, okay? Present tense verbs. And you get tips. You click on tips and it just breaks everything down for you in a super convenient, organized way. They didn't used to have this. And this is a premium feature in my opinion. Breaks it down for you, gives you your little verb charts, explains how they work. That's awesome. You can sit here and study these, digest it, let your mind process it. Cool. All right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to start this lesson now and dive into the lesson. And really is that simple. Start Duolingo. You're going to see that there's a feature called Duolingo Stories. Don't start that just yet unless you just really have to. We're going to use this. This is going to be important in a future episode coming up. We're going to begin integrating stories into our Spanish learning system. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. Bueno, eso es todo. That is everything for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're learning a ton of Spanish at this point. At this point, there's no reason. You should be learning a lot of Spanish every single day. Keep that system going. And don't forget, if you want to learn Spanish with me, I have a website, MexicanFluency.com. And there at that website, you can find my course, Fluency Hour, where I am literally for an entire month sending you an email every single morning telling you what to do, holding your hand, providing encouragement, feedback. If you have questions, you can email me directly. There's videos, Facebook group, everything that you need to really, really begin creating a solid foundation in your Espanol. Again, that's MexicanFluency.com. If you have any questions, please let me know. Make sure to check out this podcast at YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Give it a review if you can. Muchas gracias de nuevo. I'll see you guys in the next episode.